Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Nicole. I'm a homeschooling mom with 2 kids at home. I have a daughter who's 10, finishing up her 5th grade year, and my son is 4, doing a little bit of preschool work. So today's video is part 2 of what appears to be a 3-part series on my daughter's 6th grade curriculum. I did not intend for that to happen. It just kind of worked out so that my video wasn't an hour long because I think I have picked a lot of stuff for this year. Today's video is specifically going to be a continuation of language arts because if you watched my last video, you may be thinking, how can this girl have any more language arts? But it's true, I forgot some stuff. I wasn't feeling well that day. It was in front of me, but somehow I completely missed it. So we'll go over that, and we'll also talk about the electives that we're doing. We've got art, mental health, logic, French, and a few others. And then my next video, the last one hopefully, will be history, geography, and science. All right, so let's start with the language arts components and get those out of the way. There were 3 topic areas that I forgot. So the first one is spelling. I have one that I'm using and one as a backup that we may be coming back to. So the one that we're using is Modern Speller, Book 2. This is a continuation of what we've been doing. So what this is a copywork and dictation style spelling, which I love. I feel like my daughter learned so well from it. And this is a free resource online. And what it is this goes through 1st year to 6th year, and then it splits it up 1st half to 2nd half. So we're finishing up 5th year, 2nd half. And what this is a paragraph, a famous quote, part of a famous story. And how I use it is the first day she does copywork in her best handwriting, and the next day we do a dictation on it. What my daughter loves about this is they break up these words that are more difficult into a manageable way for her to memorize when she's studying for dictation. The other thing that I really love about this curriculum is that these passages are shorter and they have a lot more complex words. Not only are they complex words, but there's less known words because of the date of this production from the 1920s. So I'm really loving this. I'm really seeing progress in her handwriting and in her spelling. We were doing spelling, you see, which is my backup. We had done level F part 1 and I have part 2. The reason that I switched to Modern Speller is these passages are longer, but I feel like there's not as much bang for your buck as far as difficult words. So here's a page in level F. It's a pretty long sentence, but really these words are not very hard and I don't feel like they were challenging her. I love the chunking part, but she was getting fatigued and she wasn't wanting to write in any other subjects, whereas these are a lot smaller, a lot quicker, and like I said, you just get way more bang for your buck. But my daughter has said she does miss doing this sometimes, so I do feel like variety is important and I don't want to waste it, so I will switch this out. Now, I did just find out the Spelling UC revamped their levels, so this is an older version I got last year, so I don't know how the new levels are. I might check that out. But okay, so that's spelling. So the next thing I forgot for literature was our reading log. I have my daughter log all of her independent reads and our read alouds. We have a reading log that we've used for 4th and all of 5th, so it's so fun to go back and see what she's read. Now, her complaint with the one that we've been currently using is it was a 2-page spread. And this is a 1-page spread. So you have 1 page here. It's the same on both sides. And I like it has all the things I'm looking for. What she liked about it, what she was surprised, characters, quotes, things she's learned, just like different things for her to fill out. There's a lot less manageable, or excuse me, a lot more manageable than what we were doing. And what I really love about these reading logs is that in the front, they always have this index for you to put the title of your books. So she goes back to her other reading log constantly, looking at the books that she's read in order. It's so cool. She's pretty much filled up that 50-page reading log. So we're looking forward to doing this. So the last component for language art that I left off is poetry. We do a lot of poetry in our homeschool, meaning about every day, 5 to 10 minutes, we read through different poetry. I just like it. It breaks up our day and it's just really fun to bring it in. And I do have my daughter do some memory work, memorizing some of these poems. So the first one that we're going to be doing next year is Light in the Attic by Shel Silverstein. We have already gone through Where the Sidewalk Ends, this year, and she loves it. Loves his humor, loves the graphics. This is right up my daughter's alley for her personality, so we're going to continue on that. We're also going to be doing the Book of Nature Poetry by National Geographic. Now, just so you guys know, some of the stuff I'm showing you is library copies because I buy my stuff used and I kind of buy it over time, so there's not one big chunk of money I'm spending for all my curriculum. So I do apologize that these aren't the best copies, but this book is a beautiful book. It's nature poetry. We worked through the animal poetry this year. And while this could be deemed younger, I feel like poetry is poetry. And my daughter loves looking at the pretty pictures, looking at all the poems. And these are generally the ones that I have her memorize because I feel like they're just a little bit more manageable. So we'll be using this one. And then I really wanted her to learn about a famous poet. And, I consider these, fun and poetry in itself, but I wanted to go a little deeper into the study of different poets. So I got a whole bunch of poetry books from the library. I let her go through them, and she chose Emily Dickinson. So we got this Poetry for Young People by Emily Dickinson. So we'll be going through that, and I am really looking forward to that. Okay, so now let's move on to our electives. The first one that I want to talk about is logic. I love logic, philosophy. I just think it's so fascinating. I think learning this topic really helps our kids learn how to critically think and form their own opinions and understand the world better around them. It's just so invaluable to me. So I had originally picked one, and then I stumbled across another that we're going to do first. This one is DK, Get to Know Philosophy. So this one is technically geared at, I think, my daughter's age, but this was more of an introductory level. But I feel like that's really important because philosophy really is kind of a harder topic for some kids to grasp, but it's just fantastic. I love the way that they present it. I love all the pictures. I love that it's not this hefty book. I really like the topics they cover. I went through this pretty carefully, and so I'm really excited to start this. So it's not the biggest book, so it won't take us too long to read. And then we're going to go on to Big Ideas for Curious Minds. I think this is listed at being ages 8 to 10, but honestly, sometimes the Amazon ages are just so off base. Either I feel like they're too young or they're too old. But this book had everything that I was looking for. I really am looking forward to getting it. I feel like the topics are appropriate and there's enough, pictures in here to kind of keep it interesting. So we will be moving on to this once we finish this. Okay, so let's move on to art. So my daughter loves art. She loves crafts, she loves drawing, she loves painting, all of it. And so I have brought in some art curriculum into our homeschool before, but not in the way that I'm doing it now. I chose Blossom and Roots, 9 Profiles in Art. This is their level 4, geared at ages 9 to 12, and as my daughter is 10, I thought this was really great. And what she does is she takes 9 different artists, and you study them and you do art relating to the type of art that they did. She has a wide variety. It's a very diverse list of artists. And why I decided that I wanted to do this is because my son is actually doing Blossom and Root early years and doing their picture studies that go and then doing a follow-up art project, which he loves. And my daughter joins us for those art studies and has really been wanting to do projects having to do with that artist. But the projects in early years are meant for preschool, and my daughter is in 5th grade. So this is perfect for her. I really like the artists they chose, especially because this has a lot of painting, and drawing and photography and stuff. So really looking forward to this. I've seen quite a bit of people on YouTube do flip throughs of this, and I just really am looking forward to it. Okay, let's move on to mental health. If you have been around, mental health is really important to me. I feel like giving our kids the tools and skills to understand their body, understand the world around them, and to just build that mindset growth, to build that confidence is so invaluable. It's something I wish I had had growing up. I'm sure a lot of you may mirror that. So I like to have 3 different components in our home for mental health for my daughter to do. So she's getting it in varying levels. So one is I like to have a program that we do together. And like, for example, this year, it's the Big Life Journal program where I use the lesson plans and we use a podcast kit. Then I like to read literature with her, different books that we read together every single day, just 5-10 minutes maybe, and go through and discuss these topics. Then I like to have her have some sort of an independent workbook for her to work on her own and have a little privacy on that. So let me go over what those 3 components are for 6th grade that I've chosen. So the first one is the curriculum. I've gotten a child's guide to mindfulness and calm. This is by ForestRainWander. I absolutely love this curriculum, you guys. It covers so many topics. She has so many lessons. She has a wide array of book lists for you. This is from 3 to 13 years, and it can really span that. So I'm going to include my husband on it. She has so many great lessons, so many great activities. And she starts off the lesson, like here's lesson 5 on stress and worry. And she'll have this page for you to go over things with your child, but the books for you to read, the practices for you to do for that lesson. She'll always have some sort of a craft or an activity afterwards. And she has videos. She has several parts to a lesson, so you're going over it for several days. She has different videos. She tells you for young ones, for older ones. Here she goes into the lymphatic system, and she has diagrams. She goes over your vagus nerve and how that's relevant. She goes over forest bathing. As you saw, she goes over the lymphatic system. She goes over the importance of sleep, of family, of kindness, of calmness, of your health, of having boundaries, empathy, and compassion. I mean, this is such a full curriculum. And with it, she has 2 things. She has this mindfulness journal for the student. And what this journal has is it has prompts from each of the lessons. So the focus word, for example, for the first one is mindfulness, and then she has a prompt. Now, these lines are geared, for younger kids because she's trying to cover a lot of ages, but I really didn't mind. And it just goes in that same fashion, the word that they were focusing on and a prompt. Then she also has for the child a gratitude journal. And I didn't actually print out the gratitude journal because I'm going to be using something else that I'll show you in a second. It was kind of generic. It just said the same thing and you could print it out as many days as you wanted it. So this honestly is so amazing. I'm so grateful that I found it. So for the gratitude journal that I'm going to be using, it's a gratitude journal for kids by LetsDoSchoolStore on Etsy. Now I would show it to you. Unfortunately, I don't have it right now. This store doesn't do PDF. She only ships it. So that's why I don't have it for you. So, and that's actually a con of what I think is a really great book is that the cost of this book is $15, but the shipping was almost $12. So that is a con, but I did really like what the inside was. This is a write, doodle, and draw positivity. And she has just created different prompts for your child to do every day. So this is the workbook that my daughter is going to be doing. And she'll kind of do it when this curriculum prompts the children to do gratitude as well as just in the morning. So that's her daily workbook. Now I'm going to go through the different books that we're going to be reading throughout the year. So we just read one until it's done and we move on to the next one. Right now we're reading DK Shy and Mighty, and we've read several others. If you're interested in what we've read this year, I do have a mental health and puberty video that I go over all of that. So what I did to find these books is I do research and I look up for the age, what books would be good for her. I also go to the library, go to the mental health section and check out a ton of books, so many. And then I go through it and then I go through with my daughter to find ones that she would like. So the first one that we're going to be reading is 100 Ways to be Thankful by National Geographic Kids. Now you may think, well, this seems kind of, youngish, but having these daily prompts in a very quick and easy, fun way to be reminded of gratitude, because gratitude really at the end of the day brings happiness, brings fulfillment, and is something that unless we are constantly doing it, you forget about it. So I really like this. We'll probably do one of these every day until they're done. And then the next one I have is Dictionary for a Better World, Poems, Quotes, and Anecdotes from A to Z. This is just different topics that they're going to go over. Like this one is about hope. They go over gratitude. They go over compassion. They go over love. They go over saying goodbye, being a team, wondering. They go over so many different things. Having a zest for life, being together, progressing through your life. And the author's note to everybody is you're imperfect and you're wired for struggle, but you're worthy of love and belonging. So that's actually a Brené Brown quote. It goes over nature. It also talks about mindfulness and the value of laughter. So this just has a lot of nice components with nice pictures. So looking forward to that. The next one that I have is Happy, Healthy Minds, A Children's Guide to Emotional Well-Being. This is more of a book or story format. So we'll read through this like we would as a story. Being a friend to yourself, school, what to do when you're lonely, words with people. This is talking about your parents, and if you're not always getting along, helping them have a different perspective on maybe why is my mom always making me brush my teeth? Why is my mom always making me take a shower? This is written to the student. So it is, I really liked it. So, okay. So the last book that I have on our list for mental health is all about anxiety. I don't love the cover, but I love the contents. My daughter does have a little bit of anxiety and she is shy. And this was just a really good way to go over being shy and anxious. It talks about her brain, how her brain works, which I really appreciate. And how to succeed, how to overcome anxiety, where does it come from, and how to live with anxiety. So I really like that. So the next elective is French. So my mom actually teaches my daughter French. She is fluent in French. She went to school to be a French teacher. My dad is from Switzerland and he is a native French speaker. So we do have French in our family. So my mom does teach my daughter and has been ever since she's been homeschooling. And this year they are going to be learning about food, clothing, city, and houses. And each one of those topics are going to take a quarter of the year, and she's getting her curriculum from a teacher pay teacher store called World Language Resources. She says this is a phenomenal unit, and actually I did a video recently with my mom on French, how she teaches it, resources she uses. She even opened a teacher pay teacher store after I convinced her because she makes so many of her own resources. So go check out that video if you're interested. But each one of those units I mentioned goes over vocabulary, grammar, speaking, and writing. So if you're interested. And the last one I have is this National Geographic Yes, No, Maybe. Amazing answers to more than 250 mind-blowing questions. I don't know if your child is like this, but my child likes all of that, I don't want to say useless information, but information that you don't always need or questions that you don't always think about. And I ran across this at the library and I just like, it is so funny. She just loved it. Can dogs tell time? We've got, why does Australia have so many dangerous animals? Who invented money? What was the first candy ever? Do robots have emotions? So just lots of fun pictures, interesting questions for her. This is kind of in the logic realm or just miscellaneous. Will people ever live entirely in virtual reality? So this is in her age group and she really liked it. So we'll be reading through that probably, I don't know, a couple times a week next year. Okay. That is it for our electives and the rest of our language arts. My next video will be all of our history, science, and geography, and then I should be done. If you have any questions, please let me know. And also, what have you guys been using for these topics? I would love to hear that. I always love to hear what you guys have to say. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.